Canada Day should be an important day for any Canadian. It should be especially important if you're the Prime Minister or if you want to become the Prime Minister. Naturally, you would expect a powerful message from the party leaders. Let's just say only one of them hit the mark.
Let's take a look.
Happy Canada Day. No matter where you are, I hope you're celebrating the incredible people, the land, and the story that is Canada. It's a story that began more than 157 years ago with Indigenous peoples who've called this land home since time immemorial. It's a story of sacrifice. When Canadian soldiers stormed the beaches of Normandy, they knew they were risking their lives. But freedom, even for those across an ocean, even for generations of people they'd never meet, was worth fighting for. Our rights and freedoms are never guaranteed. They're safeguarded every day by trailblazers, journalists, activists, organizers, people who want to keep building a country where we can disagree, sometimes passionately, but where we always come together in the pursuit of something greater than ourselves. A country where everyone has a fair shot, no matter who they are, where they come from, how they pray, or whom they love. Those are the values that hold us together as Canadians. It's the reason so many people around the world save up everything they have and leave behind everything they know to be part of our story. It's a story that includes injustices, ones that we're confronting on our shared path of reconciliation. It's a story of learning that we're stronger not in spite of our differences, but because of them. And it's a story that's still being written by incredible Canadians who step up for their community and country. From the workers and volunteers who cared for our most vulnerable in the long days of the pandemic, to the brave first responders who even now race towards danger to protect homes from wildfires, to the women and men of the Canadian Armed Forces who stand on the front lines fighting for democracy and freedom. People, brave, kind, resilient people. That is a story of Canada. That's what makes our country the very best place on earth. So let's keep making it even better. Happy Canada Day.
So,
That felt forced.
that was inspiring.
Yeah, it felt like he read the entire thing off a teleprompter and didn't mean a single word of it.
Well, because I think that's exactly what happened.
That is probably what happened. That was shameful. As from the leader of our country, that was shameful. Like, that was just... There was no emotion behind it. I honestly feel like, as someone watching this, I feel like he didn't believe the words that he was saying, and it wasn't inspiring to me as a Canadian.
No, this should be the most important day in the Prime Minister's calendar. Like, I'm sorry, it should be. This is when Canada was born. You were the leader of Canada. 157 years ago today, rather yesterday, was the first Prime Minister of Canada. That's a big deal.
That's huge. It's when we gained our independence from Britain. I mean, it's when we became a country and developed our own national identity instead of just being under the Queen's skirts.
And you could say that we're being biased here, but I don't think you can blame us, because when Trudeau sits there and says, "Oh well, we have people, that are trailblazers, like activists." Time out. I'm sure you don't mean the trucker convoy. I'm sure you don't mean Tamara Leach. I'm sure you don't mean Chris Barber. I'm sure you don't mean the rest of the convoy leaders. No. And again, you can disagree with the message of the truckers, or you can agree with it. It doesn't matter. What matters is they had a right to protest. And then they started to be arrested for protesting. So which activists do you mean? Do you mean the ones that most of Canada disagrees with, but you're forcing down our throats? Probably. That's probably what you mean. And what was the other thing he was talking about? Oh yeah, our military. How dare you?
What they've done to our military is shameful. Canada can't even meet its NATO obligations of 2% GDP.
We can't even house our military personnel.
We heard in that interview with Mercedes Stephenson back in December that Canada has 3 days worth of ammunition if war were to break out.
Yeah, 3. And, that was in January of this year, so we probably have less. So, I found everything that he said disingenuous, hypocritical, because what has he done in his entire tenure except try to divide Canada and set groups against each other as a result of employing identity politics?
Well, and that's why this felt so fake. Let's see what Pierre had to say.
Canada is home, and there's nowhere like it on Earth. Nearly 10 million square kilometers of prairie, forest, and tundra. An ancient land stewarded by our Indigenous people since time immemorial. A country with deep political history going back to the Magna Carta. An inventive nation that gave the world insulin, pacemakers, and the telephone. A warrior nation that helped defend freedom and helped defeat ugly socialist ideologies like Nazism, fascism, and communism. Big, proud, free. So much to celebrate. Yet, many are not celebrating right now. Government inflation and taxes rob workers' wages. Our national debt and our housing costs have doubled, and most of our youth have given up on ever owning a home. Our food banks burst with 2 million visits a month. A quarter of our people live in poverty. Homeless encampments multiply and expand. Crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder reign in our once safe streets. Our military is unequipped, and our troops disrespected by government. Our speech censored. Weird, woke obsessions divide our people, destroy our education, disparage our history, and degenerate into our streets. All of these problems, every single one of them, come from the top. While Canada is broken, the people did not break it. The powerful did. But thanks to our treasured parliamentary democracy, the people, the common people, will take back control of their lives to make Canada the freest nation on earth. As always, our past was built by, and our future belongs to, these common people. Often, they're wrongly called ordinary people, but they are extraordinary. The firefighter that runs towards the flames, and the police officer that run towards the gunshots, who kiss their kids goodbye in the morning, hoping it won't be the last time, they're not ordinary. They are extraordinary. The trades workers that turn the wrenches, swing the hammers, lay the bricks, and now program the 3D printer. They're not ordinary, they're extraordinary. Those who build stuff, fix stuff, dig stuff, and make stuff. The farmers who turn sunlight and air, seed and soil into dinner on your plate, and yet who, in the words of Paul Harvey, bail their families together with the soft, strong bonds of sharing. The troops who stare down our enemies and stand on guard for our home and native land. None of these people are ordinary, they are extraordinary. On Canada Day, we celebrate the ancient liberties that free these extraordinary people to do these extraordinary things. As a small-town lawyer by the name of John Diefenbaker said, "I am a Canadian, a free Canadian, free to speak without fear, free to worship God in my own way, free to stand for what I think right, free to oppose what I believe wrong, free to choose those who govern my country." As we celebrate what Dief called this heritage of freedom, let me say, Happy Canada Day. Let's bring it home.
Wow.
What a stark difference.
The most glaring difference to me between the two. Pierre was barely shown in his video.
Yeah, he narrated over most of it.
Yeah.
But he wasn't on screen.
Whereas Justin Trudeau, that's all it was. So to me, Justin Trudeau's video was all about Justin Trudeau.
Again, as we've said previously, I think we said it in yesterday's video.
Yeah.
That, you know, Justin Trudeau was all look at me, where Pierre, it's about the people, it's about the land, it's about the country.
Well, and although Pierre's message was actually, I think, 1 minute and 20 seconds longer than Justin Trudeau's, it was more powerful because he didn't shy away from the problems. He dove right into them and said, yes, we have problems.
But it gave you a sense that he is going to be the one to fix them. That he is claiming responsibility. That, yes, there are these problems, but we're going to rise above it as Canadians. We're going to work together and we're going to fix it.
Yeah. And, you know, it was really emotional. You know, the music obviously helped. But it was also talking about, you know, people doing extraordinary things. And I think that's where everyone, you know, really needs to reflect today on, you know, the different people in their lives that have done extraordinary things. And the other thing that I noticed is there's a lot of callbacks to the history of the nation from Pierre, where, again, you know, Trudeau and his ideology, they're ashamed of everything that happened before yesterday. Well,
and they virtue signal that, you know, it's Indigenous land, et cetera, but it doesn't really dive into the history. I mean, he had mentioned World War II, but...
Normandy, but he probably doesn't even know that Canadians landed on Juno Beach.
Again, like, Trudeau's video just felt so forced, so rehearsed. Pierre's felt like he actually believes the message that he was saying. And I believe he does.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, the other thing that was really interesting to me is Justin Trudeau's message started and ended with Justin Trudeau. Pierre's message started and ended with the Canadian flag. Because you can be a citizen of any creed, any religion, you know, any sexuality, doesn't matter. But that flag is a symbol of us all. And that flag used to mean something to everybody, and it still does for some people.
For many of us.
And I think it needs to again. I think some people need to be reminded what that flag actually means. So, speaking of powerful messages, we saved the best for last. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the future Prime Minister of Canada's powerful message on Canada Day. We bring you Jagmeet Singh.
Crickets.
Please do not adjust your TV sets. The reason why you get static is Jagmeet Singh did not deliver any such message.
He did not put out a video which, as a leader of a major political party federally in this country, you would expect that he would have taken a few minutes out of his day to say something on camera, or that he would have taken a few minutes out of his day on a previous day, because, I mean, he knows Canada Day is coming. And he just didn't.
So we're going to show you what he did put out. He put out a tweet. And it says, Canada Day is a day to acknowledge what makes our country so incredible. To continue building a more fair and just country where we uplift one another. I love this country deeply. And I'm proud to raise both my daughters here. Which is why I am committed to making it a better place for all.
So, number one, not only was he
grammatically incorrect.
No, but he was so lazy, or he didn't care enough to put out a video. But also he ended it with, which is why I'm going to do something about this. You know, I'm going to fix this me again. Well,
and he didn't acknowledge anyone in that tweet. He just said, "Oh, there's work to do. I'm glad to raise my daughters here, and I'm going to fix this country." You want to represent Canadians as the Prime Minister of Canada.
Embarrassing.
Like, we're not going to spend hardly any time on this because it doesn't deserve any time on this. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you're voting NDP, that's your leader.
You know, I find it, I don't even know the right word. shocking perhaps that both parties on the left, they don't really care about Canada Day or Canadians or what it means. It was about the leader. Like, well, that's gross.
Yeah, I honestly think that both Trudeau and Singh don't give a damn about Canada Day.
Well, I mean, they've shown us that they don't through their quote-unquote Canada Day messages.
Yeah, like Trudeau just read something that a staffer typed up and put in front of him, and then he, like, you know, continued on to, you know, bad white boy dancing at the, you know, nearest nightclub. Who the heck knows what Jagmeet Singh was doing?
Again, as the leader, like a political leader in our country, today should be the most important day. It's the birth of our nation. And Canadians should be proud of that.
When a major political party leader treats the most important day in the nation like it's the least important day in the nation, you have to wonder, what the heck are they doing as party leader? And everyone who supports them should really be looking in the mirror and saying, is this the right guy? Because there's only one of them that actually put in any effort. But there's somebody else. There's one guy that had both Trudeau and Jagmeet beat. And arguably, he you may even say he gave Pierre a run for his money. And this guy isn't even Canadian.
So we're talking about Kanji Yamanouchi, the Japanese ambassador to Canada. And let me tell you, he was rocking our anthem on the electric guitar. Let's take a look.